Hello, and welcome to this re-recording of the Onwards event that we ran this morning. There was a bit of an issue around the recording, so I have decided to go back and re-record it after the event so that I can share it with those of you who are not able to make it. So my name is Jasper Steinhausen. I'm the founder of Business with Impact. I am a consultant, and my specialty is to connect sustainability and business. So utilize it as a tool to boost and maximize your revenue, but without jeopardizing the planet or compromising your personal values on sustainability. So that's what I do on a daily basis. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been helping more than 10,000 people get this connection right over the years through presentations, trainings, coaching, and specific consultants. I'm the author of the international best-selling book, Making Sustainability Profitable. And I've basically been working with companies, big and small, private and public, manufacturing and service. So been around the block over the last 2 decades or so. But enough about me. Let's dive into the situation here. So let me just share the presentation I created for today. And here we go. Yes. So headline here is competitiveness is king. And if that is the situation, well, then sustainability truly is the knight in this story, even though that's not what most people think. But let me show you why. But a bit first about the situation of today. What I see is that there is a massive focus on competitiveness in the industry, and for good reason. So competition is fierce, probably never been harder, or at least not for a very long period of time, and probably not more complex than for a long period of time. So we have pressures from all corners of the globe. The digitalization, and especially what we learned during the lockdown, is that we can actually serve a far larger geographical region than what we thought just a few years ago. So that means that for every company that is sitting down and defining what is our geographical scope of what do we consider as our market, that is significantly bigger than before. So for that reason, we have far more companies competing. We also have a lot of startups and scale-ups that from the very get-go set out to challenge well-established players in a different way than what we've been seeing just again a few years ago. AI, robotics, automations, all of that is pushing the envelope and changing the games in terms of what are the rules and what could we, what is possible, what do things have to cost, how fast can we deliver, and so on and so on. So all of this is pushing the game on competitiveness. And then we have government subsidies to various degrees around the world coming in all of a sudden that are also putting pressure on what is the right price and price point to go to the market with. And then lastly, I'll bring up here now is the tariffs going on from the, initiated by US, where we see that obviously this also puts a lot of pressure on competitiveness in the industry. So very often I hear from leaders that conclusion on this is we must innovate, we must increase our competitiveness, we must cut our costs. So that's a starting point. But at the same time, we see that many struggle to attract talent. At least in the Western world, we're looking into to a time where fewer people are entering the workforce. So for that reason alone, there's going to be more competition around it. But also there is an increasing focus for many of them, especially those who are really good, who can choose, that they want to be part of a company that they feel align with their values and that makes sense and where they feel they can make a difference. We also see that engagement in many places are at an all-time low. You probably come across also the reports showing this for various geographical regions or the globe entirely, that this is a problem hitting many places. And I hear a lot of of C-suite people that are struggling with these two. How do we do that? And that becomes an increasingly important part. Then if we go outside of the company, we have climate change that just is hitting harder and harder. We see that in supply chain risk. We also see it in regulation, even though, of course, I know that a lot of places, regulation right now on sustainability is being rolled back, but there's still a lot in force and a lot that's just continuing going. And some might be dressed up in new sort of framings, but reality is that there is an ongoing focus on the green transition, and for very good reasons. And also that, we can all, every company is just a bunch of people, remember that, and we people can feel the anxiety and the change in the world around us, and whether that's on ourselves, that we see more weather extremes in some form, or if we read about it, or some of the many reports about the state of the world. So increasingly, markets are looking for answers as well. So that just put more pressure on, maybe just mainly in form of expectations, or expectations not met, whether they're outspoken or not. But that's an issue as well. And on top of all of this entire sustainability space, I still find that the majority of leaders are struggling with, knowing how to actually lead this, because it's not a space that you've been used to dealing with. So it makes a lot of sense. But that's kind of the situation as I see it today. I hope you also would recognize this. But then we have this main sort of problem in the background here, that is that the governing narrative around sustainability is that it's a problem, it's costly, it's hard for business, and we have to compromise in so many ways. It's restrictive. There's a lot of things we cannot do. So that's the story we tell ourselves, and I deliberately call this a story because it's actually not true, or at least it doesn't have to be. But the conclusion here is that, or the consequence is probably the better way to frame it, is that I see sustainability initiatives get postponed, they get downplayed, or even stopped altogether. And I know for many of you, because you have also personally, again, a feeling towards what would be the right thing to do. So I know, and I hope you will recognize this, that for many, the dream really is to get a competitive business that also makes the world a better place. So struggling to, but would love to find ways to combine these two angles. So, as I said, it's a false narrative, because reality is that impact leads to competitiveness, right? So I'll say that again: impact leads to competitiveness. And why is that? Well, here are four of the major things that are the reasons that connect directly to competitiveness. So it drives down costs, right? And it drives innovation, and it fuels engagement, and it also fuels customer loyalty. But for the purpose of this small seminar, we're going to focus on the cost reduction right now, because that's also the one where you can get the quickest return on your investment, and you can see benefits to your competitiveness in a very, very short term. So that's where we'll focus for now. So cost reduction, and that is related to waste, and to avoiding waste, or to dealing smarter with waste. And for that, it's also important to remember that the true cost of waste is actually not just what most people factor in, i.e., what is it cost to get our waste management company to come and pick it up, right? So that's the bill to the waste handler. But the reality is that you have to factor in the cost of procuring the materials in the first place, the cost of processing them. So that's machinery, energy, salary, etc. Everything related to actually running your business. And then, of course, the cost of waste handling and the connection. So that's the true cost, and it's important to remember to look at that. And which is also why, when you go in and find ways to do something about this, you can actually immediately get quite significant benefits. And Reality is that we need a different perspective because most of you who have gone through some sort of leadership training will have learned a lot about how to focus on the flow of time and the flow of money and how to use that to manage and develop a business. But what very few of you will have learned is a lot about is about the flow of resources. Today, that is considered cost of operations. And there is a reason for that because in the from around early 1950s, we had a period of approximately 20 years where we had this seemingly abundance of material and the prices of energy and material just kept falling. So gradually it became less and less strategically important and it disappeared from leadership literature and then from leadership training, meaning that through no fault of your own, you have actually been trained in leadership skills without a focus, a strategic focus on the flow of resources. So it makes completely sense that this is a bit overlooked, but we need to get this back on your plate. We need to make this basic part of your business that needs more attention. And here is a very simple 5-step tool or framework, if you like, for how you can work on and minimize waste in your business. And well, before I do that, just let me tell you that many of you might be thinking this is probably not large amounts, but let me just reassure you that it is significant amount of money there is here. I work with clients where we where we talk about savings in the millions in euros. And these are not giant corporations. These are middle-sized and slightly up companies where there's just so much money that can be saved here. And it's not because they're completely wasteful or anything. They're pretty average companies. So there is a lot for all of you out here. I'll dare say. So step one, overall balance. What on the input side, what's the procurement? How much money do you spend on procuring? And if you can get access to weight, how many kilograms, that's fine. If not, okay, don't obsess about that right now. And on the output side, well, look at your waste management fees and the amount of kilograms, tons that is collected. So that's going to give you an overall balance of in and out. Secondly, 80-20 focus, right? We want to focus on where we get the most bang for the buck here. So what are the 20% of the materials that equals 80% of your spending, right? Somebody will know that, or you'll be able to find that. And again, not exact numbers. We're not looking to exactly cover, maybe it's just 15 or 18% or whatever, but we're looking for those that drives the majority. You can just look at your sales, right? What is the main products and then work backwards from there. If you know it, you might also ask what's the 20% of materials that generate 80% of your environmental impact, because that could be a bonus for you later on. But if you don't know it, it's okay. Again, don't obsess about it. Just go with the spend part for now. 3, typify this, right? Which of the waste is productive and which is unproductive waste, as I call it. And by productive waste, I mean you might have a process where, say, you need a cooling liquid as part of the process. So it's productive because you need to have it, but once it's used, it's a waste. So that's the situation. Whereas unproductive waste could be due to errors, it could be simply parts that you cut off or throw away, everything related to breakdowns and everything related to areas you simply just cut off because of the in the process. So it's a byproduct, all of that. So have a split on that. Which ones are basically really hard to avoid, and which ones are something you potentially could avoid. That's what you want to look at. And then you start with the potentially avoiding, because that's probably the easiest part. And from there on, it's about spotting opportunity, right? What could we do to avoid this waste? What could we do to turn it into a product for ourselves or for somebody else? And this might sound harder than it is, but my experience is if you just ask people that are close to the processes where this happened, they will have an idea. So that's the one part. The second part is to ask the question, why does the waste appear in the first place? And it could be very easily be that you have, across the silos, you have in one silo, you have made a decision that is smart and meaningful in that, but it has a side effect that it generates waste further down the line. So that holistic view across the silos can often give you an idea about why we're ending up with the amount of waste that we are. And you can have a discussion about, is that a smart choice made over in silo A, or would it be better to change that? Just to give you an example, it could be that you say, due to a zero tolerance towards or an aim for zero negative complaints or complaints from clients, you set a zero tolerance for errors on your products. It could be visuals, it could be functional, it could be whatever it is, right? But that might have the effect that a lot of stuff further down the line is getting discarded because it has some sort of minor error, especially if it's a visual thing. Have a look at, is that really smart? What would happen if we tolerated just a few complaints? How could we deal with them easily? What would it mean for our reputation? What would it cost us to send them a new batch of the products or whatever it is? But put that up against what is the cost of all the waste that we and the product we have to discard at the very end of their production cycle, right? Which is the most expensive place. So look at that, but basically just ask questions. Why does this appear? What is happening? What could be done differently? And especially engage people who are on the platform right there, who are doing the work, and look at the various steps, and they will probably know. And from there on, it's actually just plan out what to do now and what to do in a medium and what to do in a long term. And I promise you, you will find that some of this is really simple. It's just a matter of we never stop to think because it's all budgeted for, right? There is in your current model, there is a budget to handle the waste. So it's baked in your value proposition and your pricing structure. And everybody is just busy in running the business. So nobody ever stops, right? So if you come in and pause for a second, create room to think and ask questions, you will most likely find that there are lots of things you can do quite easily for some of them. Some obviously might require a bit more. So that's what I would like you to do. If you think this is super hard, I don't know how to do this. What I would like you to do is to sign up for a free value session with me, because I offer that for people who have signed up for this event. So you get a 45-minute session with me, a coaching session, where we will dive into where you are now and where you want to go, and then I will come up with some recommendations for how you can move on this. So if you think this is the right thing, then I'll give you I'll put a link in along with the recording here. Click that, find your time that suits you, and then book your value session, and then we'll meet up. You'll get answers and receive recommendations for your next steps, and you can just go do. So that's what I had with what I've been sharing this morning in the live event, and that I now have re-recorded for you, and I hope this was valuable, and I really look forward to hearing any feedback you have on this, and also to have a conversation with you in your value session. So if this in any way resonates and you feel like this could be interesting, but I'm not as 100% sure how to do this, or I would like some sort of holding hand or confirmation that I'm on the right track or whatever, go in and book the session. I promise you, you will not regret this, and we will get you going. So with that said, thank you so much for your time, and I will see you out there.